Hi again. My name is Kelly Amos and I'm a fitness and nutrition specialist. And today, for your tiny health tip, I'm going to be talking about whole foods. And I think people get pretty confused on what whole foods are. And by definition, whole foods are anything that is, it needs to be processed as little as possible. It needs to be eaten in its natural state and free of additives. So things basically, if it doesn't have an ingredients list or a label on it, it's a whole food. So these are whole foods, but it does get a little bit confusing. I know. I teach a nutrition class, and I also run private fitness and nutrition groups. And my nutrition class asked if I would do a 5 days of eating clean group with them. And so that's what we're doing this week. And each day I'm giving them a little assignment. And yesterday's assignment was to try to avoid processed foods. So what they needed to do was start reading labels. And if it had more than 5 ingredients and anything that they couldn't, they didn't know what it was, or they couldn't pronounce, or their grandmother didn't know what it was. Pronounce is kind of iffy with some of them, but just kidding. But then that's not really considered a whole food. So it's still some processing, but that gets confusing too. So I wanted to give you a few examples. Holy guacamole, which I know Kelly Lyman loves. Holy guacamole, and it's organic. And so I want to talk a little bit about the packaging. This meets the requirements of only 5 ingredients. And the fact that it's organic, if you do follow me and you do watch these, and you know that avocados are on the Clean 15, so you don't really have to spend more money if you don't want to on it being organic. But this doesn't have any label at all, and so this would be you doing the processing. When it says processed as little as possible, that's you're cooking your broccoli, you're sautéing your veggies. You're doing the cooking. But I know, again, it gets confusing because people are trying to make more health conscious choices, and things like here you're with a whole wheat tortilla. If you turn this sucker over, I mean, I would be here forever reading all the ingredients and a lot of things that you just don't know what they are. It's chemicals and additives. And then another thing that might be making an effort to eat a little healthier. This has fewer than 5 ingredients, but only one of them. Do you know what it is? Do you know what turkey is? And that's it. The rest of it's all preservatives, and so it's a processed, and it's really turkey parts. The scary thing is that Americans, the average American diet, only 8% of the overall calories comes from fruits and vegetables. Only 8% of the average American diet comes from fruits and vegetables. Shannon, can you type in there and tell me if you can hear me? Because nobody could hear me before. And also, Americans, the average American diet is 31%. Average Americans consume 31% more processed food than whole foods. So we're eating a ton of processed foods. And 50% of Americans, thank you, and 50% of Americans take vitamin and mineral supplements. So it gets really confusing because you're trying to make these health conscious choices. I threw away my example of my lean cuisine, and I had a lean cuisine, and it was rosemary chicken, and I knew I had one in my freezer and in the garage, and so I went and got that and used it as an example in my earlier video. I had no sound. And it had a boatload of ingredients. And one of the things that I want to point out when you're looking at the ingredients list, so we've got to get beyond the nutritional facts. The nutritional facts are good, but you want to look at the ingredients list as well. No more than 5. If it has 5, not that there aren't some really good things that have more than 5 ingredients, but it's still processed. So you still have to consider that. It's still processed. You're still not making it. But when you are, when I looked at that lean cuisine, it had so many ingredients, and the ingredients list is in order of the quantity. So the more the more it has, that's at the top of the list. Whatever it has the most of, and then it trickles down. But when you look, if you see something in parentheses, so for instance, on the lean cuisine, the rosemary chicken, it had chicken tenderloins. And so right after the chicken tenderloins, it had a parenthesis, and it listed out chicken tenderloin, cornstarch, this, that. I mean, it had like 7 different things, including one of the things then had its own parentheses because it had to list out the ingredients that were in that. So here's something where lean cuisine, I know a lot of people think I want to, especially, we're getting into this time of year and in January, making those healthier choices. Some of the things that you're choosing as far as health are just sabotage in your body. And so when you're looking at processed foods, we're not going to be able to avoid all of it, but do look at the quality of the ingredients that are in there. And if there are additives, and if it's just because it says natural, that means absolutely nothing. That means nothing when it's a packaged food. It means nothing. So and I'll talk more about that with the, as far as some of the laws on another live. So you have to take baby steps. It's tiny health tips. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you will just start taking a little time to read the ingredients list before you decide whether or not you're going to consume it. I hope you're having a great day and a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching and sharing.